They said like he ate mules and like rats and stuff.
Dang,
Yeah, but it was not an enlightened group of people.
we're red. Oh, do we have a quorum? Okay, including me. Okay. All right, so we will go ahead and get started with the Historic District Commission for October 2023. First, we will start with roll call, and we'll just go to my right. So I'm Emily Walter, Chair. Don't forget to pull your mic down.
Marion Black, I'm a commissioner.
I'm Jenny Davis, Commissioner.
Shane Lynn, Commissioner.
Okay. So it looks like first on our agenda is 1831 Mill Street. Tara?
Hi. So 1831 Mill Street is located in two-family residential district in the Old Conway Design Overlay District Suburban Zone. The proposal is for 1,450 square foot single-family residence. It's an infill development. I was in looking at the elevations, the style is reflective of a gable L house. It meets the setbacks and spacing by it's 25 feet. It has a front setback of 25 feet, and that's about the average in the neighborhood. It's a single-family residence with an attached carport, and there's a storage unit within the carport. And because it's attached, the outbuilding also conforms to setbacks. Spacing, it conforms. The lot coverage, based upon my calculations, it was about 55%, and it conforms. There's no alley access to the lot. The applicant has indicated a driveway off of Mill Street near the western property line. Concrete driveway strips are proposed. It appears to be 10 feet wide and terminates at a concrete pad next to the carport. Sidewalks are required as a part of this proposal and are also shown on the site plan. 5-foot sidewalk with 6.5-foot green space is proposed. There is fencing that is proposed, a 6-foot wide fence, 6-foot wood fence with a curb swoop at the street end along the western property line is proposed. No other fencing is indicated on the site plan. The fence will need to be 3.5 feet tall where it extends past the front facade of the residence. It does not appear that any significant trees will be impacted by construction, and 1 new tree will need to be planted. The scale is compatible with the neighborhood. The height and width and directional expression is compatible with the neighborhood. The footprint is compatible. And then with complexity of form, the eastern elevation, this was something that I wanted to bring to the, really highlight for the commission to look at. On the eastern elevation that contains the attached carport, it could benefit from wall or roof breaks if the HDC concurs. That is something that I have written into the conditions, and then if as I said, the HDC concurs, then we will make sure to maintain that as a condition. If HDC disagrees, we can remove that. And then the western elevation also similarly seems like it would benefit from some additional windows to enhance the rhythm. The style seems to mix with the neighborhood. The porch already has an 8-foot depth, which is in conformance with the requirements. And it'll need to be 1/1 windows. There is lighting proposed on the porches and the front elevation. The applicant is proposing fiber cement board and batten siding with brick accents, and which is supportable. No shutters are being proposed. The applicant is proposing a metal roof on the rear porch. Metal roofing is generally prohibited. The metal roof will not be visible from the street and is limited to this rear porch. So that is something that we can either maintain or we can condition the project so that the rear roof needs to have a different roofing material. No HVAC equipment is shown on the site plan, but the project is conditioned so that it shall be screened. Let's see. And so these are the recommendations. Number 1, applicant must obtain all applicable building permits if when a certificate of appropriateness is granted. Applicant shall provide proof of appropriate licensure of professionals performing work to the building permits department. Number 2, additional windows on side elevation 1 are encouraged. Number 3, additional architectural detailing is encouraged on side elevation 2 in the form of windows or changes in the roof line. Number 4, prior to issuance of a building permit, the lot will need to be replatted. Number 5, fencing to the north of the front facade of the residence will need to swoop down to 3.5 feet. The upper 2 feet of the privacy fence shall have 50% opacity. Fencing material shall be wood or wood-like composite material. Number 6, 1 tree shall be planted. If beneath the power line, it shall be an understory tree, and if away from the power line, it shall be a canopy tree. Number 7, windows shall be at least 1/1, not fixed windows. If muntin bars are used, they must be true divided light. Number 8, driveways shall be concrete pavers or permeable paving. Number 9, prior to final building inspection, a 5-foot wide sidewalk with 6.5-foot green space is required. Number 10, lighting shall be downward and inward toward the property. Number 11, HVAC equipment shall be screened from public view. And number 12, revised plans shall be submitted for review and approval by planning staff prior to issuance of COA or certificate of appropriateness.
Thank you. Okay, so I assume you're here to speak in favor.
Yes.
Okay, will you state your name and your address?
Nikki Thompson, 2759 Carl Stewart.
Okay. Do you understand the recommendations?
I have some questions.
Okay.
So, I think I can figure out number 2. Can we go back to the elevations? So that is the first picture right there. Is that correct? Side elevation 1.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I don't think I'm understanding. Was it 0.3? What did that one say?
So number 3, architectural, excuse me.
We're getting feedback.
Additional architectural detailing is encouraged on side elevation 2 in the form of windows or changes in the roof line. So, yeah, so this bottom one, it's
Okay.
just a long, uninterrupted facade. So I understand that's the carport, right?
Uh-huh.
So my recommendation in looking at it is some sort of detailing, whether that be another peak or maybe 1 or 2 more windows. But I'd leave that to the HDC's discretion.
Do you have any other questions?
And then if you can just describe that fence for me. So I'm just basically I'm blocking one area with my fence, and so I just have it down that one side, and so I just want to make sure. So let me read what that says. So when it hits the edge of the house, that's when I start swooping. Okay, and then what is that 50% opacity?
So like in the form of a lattice is generally the way it's
Okay.
presented in the guidelines.
Okay. Yep, that's all the questions I had.
And the metal roof, are you comfortable changing
Honestly,
that?
I didn't know it was a metal roof, so
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
Mm-mm.
All right. Is there anybody else here to speak in favor? Is there anybody here to speak against? Okay, so we'll open it up to discussion. Do we have any questions?
So I know that we said that the metal roof wasn't. Microphones are weird tonight. It's like a lot of feedback. Sorry, guys. But the metal roof, wasn't in compliance with the guidelines. But we don't have a recommendation about the metal roof currently.
My only concern with that, we didn't talk about it when I did this with the architects. I wonder if the slope back there is requiring the metal roof.
Yeah, that's what.
And so before I just say, yeah, for sure, I need to make sure, we won't have issues. But that would be the only reason I would think that we've got a metal roof on that.
So I'm just curious the commission's thoughts behind that. To me, it's not, you can't see it from the street. So if it was necessary, if it was truly necessary for, like, just because of the slope and there was no way it could be any other material than metal, I'm open to it, but I'm curious what the rest of the commission thinks.
Well, it is overlay district, not historic.
Yes, and that's the only
district.
reason I'm open to
Yeah.
it.
And it's
I would
not-
prefer not a metal roof, but like you said, you weren't sure
yeah,
the
that
reasoning
was-
behind it.
yeah.
And
So
it's not seen by
yeah,
outside.
what do y'all think, Jenny? And
I'm open.
Emily.
I'm in agreement with you.
Okay.
I mean, everything you said. It's
Okay.
in the back if
Uh-huh.
it's necessary. I'm assuming it would be easier for you just to go ahead and, I mean, not have the metal
Right.
roof
It
than
would
to
save me
have it.
money not to. So if I
Right.
can, I certainly will do that. But
Yeah.
it does make me wonder why you put that on there.
but it's not on the recommendations as of right now. So that's what I was just saying. It's not on the recommendations as of
Okay.
right now.
So I can make
The
that.
preference would be no metal roof,
Okay.
but we're gonna trust you to make the decision on if
On site.
that
I
makes sense. Or
appreciate
I would
that,
be
yes.
amenable for that.
Okay.
So
That'd be fantastic.
yeah, if it was truly necessary, I'm okay with it as long as it stays where it is on the property. Does anybody else have anything
Are you okay with the recommendations regarding the additional windows or detailing?
on the side?
Certainly on, I mean, I know y'all can't see this, but on that first one, that's kitchen, I can figure that out. I'd prefer not to on the carport, again, just from a financial standpoint. Or if those are windows, let me pull up my picture. Would y'all be okay if I eliminated one window in a bedroom and moved it over to the carport?
Well, that was my question. So it meets the percentage required, right? It's just visually off balance.
Yeah, I
And
would
that's
say
a
that would. I would say that would
recommendation.
look better. Nick, you're talking about, so you have the blank space, then you have window 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which window was a
Okay.
bedroom window that you would move if from left to
Sure.
right? If we did 1, 2, 3, 4,
one
5.
of okay, that's one bedroom. I could move one of the two, not the first one, but
Uh-huh.
one of the next two, and if I needed to, I can move one of the last two as
I
well.
think the third one from left
Mhm.
to right, if you moved that one, that would look a lot more balanced, which I
Okay.
think is what that recommendation was trying to achieve.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you'll get some natural light into the storage area. Isn't
Yeah.
that what backs up to that?
So
Yeah.
do we need to make a motion about that?
It's in the
It's
recommendations
in there.
currently.
But it says encourage.
Oh, okay.
So I can change it to additional window. So for number 2, additional windows on side elevation 1 are required rather than encouraged.
Just the window, one of the windows moved to
Mhm.
that carport area.
And then
Not an addition of an additional window, just moving one.
right. So for number 1, that was the one that I think everyone agreed there would be one more. Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I'll change from encouraged to required. And then for number
Yeah.
3, additional architectural detailing is required on side elevation 2. And that can be in the form of windows or changes in the roof line. So
Correct.
either one.
Yeah, you just need to move it though. Okay. Well, I'm going to motion to approve with recommendations, changing recommendation 2 to required, changing recommendation 3 to required as well.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi, it's going to look great.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I think I'm the next one.
Oh, look at you.
Well, that was convenient.
Okay, so the next one is 1406 Clifton Street. Tara, take it away.
So this proposal is in MF3, which is the zoning district MF3, high density multifamily district in the old Conway overlay, and it's the transition zone. The Surrounding area structures consist of a mix of single-family homes in minimal traditional styles, contemporary duplexes, and multifamily apartment complexes. The proposal is for the demolition of a garage and the construction of a new 1,410 square foot home. I want to emphasize that this is the transition zone, since we don't get a lot of projects there, and it is the charge of the, and I'm quoting from the guidelines, it is the charge of the Conway Historic District Commission to determine where and how criteria from the urban and/or suburban zones shall apply within the urban transition zone, basing their determination upon individual project dynamics, location, and desired neighborhood character. Now, this is my writing. As the proposal is in a predominantly residential section of the transition zone, staff has incorporated some suburban design review elements into the report. For setbacks and spacing, the guidelines state in the transition zone that front setbacks shall be no greater than 18 feet and no less than 6. The proposed structure is 6 and 12 feet from side yards, which is in conformance. The proposed front yard setback is 25 feet from the property line and 15 feet from a utility easement. Staff recommends that the structure be located 18 feet from the property line. Excuse me. And this would also place the resident more aligned with other residences on the block. The height is in conformance. It's a 1-story structure. It conforms to lot coverage. It is oriented like other single-family residences on that block. There is an existing concrete driveway, which the applicant has indicated may potentially be shared with the adjacent property owner in the future. The applicant proposes a 5 foot wide setback with 6.5 foot of green space. For trees, 1 understory tree will need to be planted, and I incorrectly wrote that it would be in the green space between the sidewalk and the curb line of Clifton Street. General zoning regulations require that that actually be outside of, the tree needs to be on the property, not in the right of way. So I apologize for that. The scale is compatible. It's compatible in terms of height, width, and directional expression. The complexity is compatible. The windows are about 25% of the front elevation, which is in conformance. And there really isn't a cohesive style in this neighborhood because of the duplexes and apartment buildings. So, but this house itself is generally compatible with other single-family residences in that area. The covered porch has a 10-foot depth, which meets the requirements. The type of window is unclear, and the final product will need to be true divided light. There's one front porch light shown on the submitted plans. For siding, the materials, the applicant is proposing brick siding with wood columns. And then again, there's metal roof on the rear porch. Now, metal is not an appropriate material in the suburban zone, but is allowed in the urban zone. And considering that this is in the transition zone and it is the rear porch, staff can support the use of this material. And asphalt is proposed for the rest of the roofing. And these are the recommendations. Number 1, applicant must obtain all applicable building permits if when a certificate of appropriateness is granted. Applicant shall provide proof of appropriate licensure of professionals performing work to the building permits department. Number 2, windows shall be true divided light. Fake muntin bars are prohibited. All windows shall be operable. Fixed windows are not permitted. And number 3, this is where I need to make edits just based upon general zoning regulations. The staff report states an understory tree shall be planted in the green space between the sidewalk and the curb line on Clifton Street. However, it needs to read, an understory tree shall be planted in the front yard outside of the right-of-way. Number 4, prior to issuance of a certificate of appropriateness, the applicant shall provide planning staff with an updated site plan showing the structure to be a minimum of 6 feet and a maximum of 18 feet from the dedicated right-of-way. Number 5, prior to final building inspection, a sidewalk shall be constructed as shown on the site plan. Number 6, lighting shall be inward, downward, and shrouded so as to stay within the bounds of the property. And number 7, HVAC equipment shall be screened from public view.
Very good. Thank you. Just for the record, will you state your name again and
Yeah.
address?
Nikki Thompson, 2759 Carl Stewart.
Okay, go ahead. So do you have any questions?
Nope, looks good.
Okay. This is fun because it's a transition zone. We don't get a lot of these. So is there anybody here to speak else in favor? Oh my gosh. Is there anybody else here to speak in favor? Okay, anybody here to speak against? Okay, open up to discussion.
I motion to approve with recommendations.
I second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you guys.
I'm guessing.
No, she's.
Okay,
Okay, that I figured, but I just wanted to make sure.
All right, so next up is 1406. No, that's not true. I'm sorry. Let me keep scrolling. Next up is 713 First Street, an accessory structure. Do we have anyone here for that? Okay, if you'll step up to the podium, we'll let Tara take over.
So as stated, this proposal is I've lost my train of thought there a little bit. Okay, pull it back. So this is an accessory structure, a non-residential outbuilding. It is located in the C3 zoning district, so highway service and open display in the old Conway overlay, also in the transition zone. It is adjacent to other C3 properties as well as R2A, so 2-family residential. The applicant is proposing to rebuild a non-residential outbuilding to its original dimensions. The original outbuilding was recently demolished due to disrepair. And I'm not going to go through all of that bit about the transition zone. I just want to again emphasize that use a little suburban, a little urban in making decisions is the recommendation. The proposal is for an outbuilding. It'll be at the rear of the principal structure. The site plan indicates that the outbuilding is 10 feet from the rear property line. So that is in conformance with the guidelines. I do want to point out that the site plan shows an easement. There's not an easement on the property. There is an alley that is not currently utilized. However, it has never been vacated. So we will need to see an updated site plan. See, the proposed structure is 1 story. The urban transition zone says that buildings shall, there's a lot of feedback, shall be no greater than 3.5 stories in height. This is 1 story. It is 12 feet. The existing single family residence is about 16 feet, so it will be shorter than the single family residence. The proposal does conform to lot coverage. The maximum lot coverage in the transition zone is 80%. Based upon what was submitted, it is unclear what direction the outbuilding, the doors, those garage doors will face. The applicant has informed staff that the double garage door facade will face First Street. And I wrote in my report that it may be beneficial for the applicant to reorient the double doors to face east or to construct a privacy fence. I would leave that to HDC's discretion. There is an existing gravel driveway. It appears that in order to utilize the outbuilding as a garage, the driveway will need to be extended, and an extension of the driveway triggers the need for it to come into conformance with current standards, which is a concrete driveway, or to have ribbon or permeable pavers. And I've written the report to allow some flexibility if the applicant wants to keep that driveway or if they want to go on the other side of the house, that they would need to abandon one driveway and then they could utilize one on the other side. The applicant will need to, this does trigger the need for a 5-foot wide sidewalk. 2 canopy trees will need to be planted. The scale of the proposed structure is compatible to the overall scale of structures in the surrounding area, including outbuildings on lots used for residential purposes. So this house is right on the edge of the residential district to the commercial district near Harkrider. See, the surrounding area does not have a cohesive theme of styles. It appears to be generally compatible. It is not particularly historical in design, but the materials will not include metal, which differs from many of the commercial structures within view of the project area. Like the original building that the structure is replacing, the outbuilding will be partially visible from the street. No lighting is shown on the elevations, and the applicant is proposing fiber cement siding and a shingled roof. And these are the recommendations. Number 1, applicant must obtain all applicable building permits if when a certificate of appropriateness is granted. Applicant shall provide proof of appropriate licensure of professionals performing work to the building permits department. Number 2, windows shall be 1/1. Fake muntin bars are prohibited. Number 3, 2 canopy trees shall be planted along First Street. Number 4, prior to issuance of a certificate of appropriateness, the applicant shall provide planning staff with an updated site plan showing the proposed driveway configuration with materials noted. The site plan shall show the parcel boundary dimensions as well as the platted alley to the south to ensure that the outbuilding is constructed 15 feet from the center line of the alley. And I think I would like to propose also adding that the driveway width shall not exceed 16 feet wide. Number 5, prior to building permit final, a 5-foot wide sidewalk shall be constructed along First Street. And number 6, lighting shall be inward, downward, and shrouded so as to stay within the bounds of the property.
Okay. Hello. Can you state your name and your address?
Juan Valenzuela. My address is 1410 Champion Street.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and do you have any questions or understand the recommendations?
Yes, I was just trying to, everything that I put there is just, what I wanted to be. But if it's not too much to ask, I want your opinions about, I was talking to different options, like having the driveway just the way it is with the extension, or having a driveway this way and just go kind of like an L behind the, kind of be like around the, so it'll be like hiding at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I was just thinking of either way, either do it that way or do it this way, and that way I can just eliminate 2 driveways instead of just one.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I was thinking, see if it's better to go using that space to go a driveway, and that way I can have everything back there. It's just not on the way. That's something I wanted to change just a little bit.
Good.
And so in I think recommendation number 4, if this was something that the HDC wanted to consider, was doing the reconfiguration of an L around the, I guess, left-hand side, looking at it from here. I did try and write in some flexibility for that. And I considered like lot coverage and what I would anticipate the lot coverage would be for that long of a driveway.
And can we go back to the site photos really quick? Yeah, current site photos. So like the driveway now, and I even looked this up on Google Maps, it's just like a dirt rock driveway. So it wouldn't be that big of a change to transition to the other side. I think that whichever way you would feel comfortable with, the way that we have it written, you could choose
Either way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would just need, if you decided to, from where it says south, do the L on that side, you just have to resubmit the drawing.
Okay.
And I would be fine with that.
Okay.
So my question is, if you take the driveway on the left-hand side, are you going to change the garage doors? Like it was suggested
To the left.
to the
Yeah,
left-hand side?
that's a good question. That garage is gonna have 2 doors and then one on the side, just like the one
Okay.
like that.
Like this?
Yeah. So I was if I gotta do that, I can put those 2 doors facing that way, and then
Yeah.
that one facing this way to the kind of to the street.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, it's up to you. I think what the city wanted was if it was going to be like this, they wanted it behind a fence,
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
right? Did I understand that correctly?
I would say either behind a fence, or I think that would help having those two garage doors oriented so that they're behind the residence. And
I
so
agree.
if you would be seeing the windows and a door from the street, is that what would happen if you oriented it that way, like facing east?
Is it the top right or the bottom right that you're going to, is it going to have 3 garage doors or 2 garage doors?
My plan is to have 3,
Yeah, so I think
Okay.
it's this one.
and then I can always put the door where, I mean, it'll be the garage door, like the one, and then one little one. So basically, I will see the 36 by 80 and the 10 by 10 garage door facing to the street, First Street.
I mean, I'll leave that to
Okay.
HDC. I think that with the regs,
I mean,
It's
I would
just
say
one.
which it just to me depends on which way the driveway faces. If the driveway is gonna, if the current driveway stays in existence, it only makes sense to have the larger garage doors connect to the driveway. But if you plan on doing the new driveway from the left side, that's when I would say move the garage doors to that
Mhm.
left-hand side.
Yeah, because even from the street, you just have one garage door, and that's just that's normal.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
feel a need to put a fence up for that.
I don't either.
That's
No,
extra
I agree.
expense.
Yeah.
Now, do you understand if you were to do a driveway at the left-hand side, how it has to be a ribbon or concrete? It can't be a gravel drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and you're fine with that?
All concrete. It's gonna be all concrete on
Okay.
on the
Okay.
left side. Now on that side, there's already gravel.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm asking just curiosity. Having gravel isn't better just to have concrete instead of gravel? I mean, it's already gravel.
Yeah,
already.
if you were to extend the current driveway, it has to be converted to concrete or ribbon concrete. That's correct. Yeah, you could not extend the driveway if you kept it as it existed. You couldn't extend it with gravel. To extend it, you would have to do concrete too.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna have a driveway on this side, and I only can have one driveway.
Yeah.
Not 2 driveways, because
Right.
I mean it's a gravel on this side, and it's gonna be gravel all the time. I mean, if I can just do a driveway here and driveway here instead of having gravel.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
want to
I'm
pour
just
2 driveways? Is what you're
curiosity.
asking. What is the rule on that with the parking? Is
I don't know.
it's not in the
about
front, right? It's on the sides.
But it is in that
So
transition.
you intend to have 2 driveways?
I mean,
Is that what your
to me, it
preference would
looks
be?
better to have concrete driveways instead of having a gravel
I understand what you're saying.
and a concrete. I mean, I'd rather have
Mhm.
everything that
Mhm.
looks beautiful and
Like he's
present-
saying, people are going to park there anyways. if
So
it's
you're
gravel.
asking if just to have 2 gravel, I mean, 2
Two concrete
concrete driveways on
driveways.
each side.
if
Yeah,
it's
I don't
possible.
See why that,
It's not in front of the
This is-
house, so yeah.
And this is transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, I don't think there's.
I don't think we
Thank
have.
you.
So you're basically going to take that one gravel and turn it into a concrete,
Mhm.
yeah.
Driveway.
I think that's an
reason.
improvement.
Yeah, I agree.
Tara, thoughts?
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
so the guidelines do not specify that he cannot have
Yeah, I didn't
Hmm.
think-
two. And it's my understanding that in the general zoning that the same applies. So it really is up to the discretion. I would caution that there may be about lot coverage. That would be my concern, that you might end up with. That would be a lot of lot coverage, like the impervious surface, that you could exceed it there. But if the HDC is okay with, not just having one singular driveway off to the side of the residence, but is comfortable with 2, it doesn't state that he cannot.
Mm-hmm.
I have no issue with it, having double.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I think it's everything clear, and that would be great if I can do the 2 driveways instead of having gravel here and concrete here.
Yeah.
I,
That'd look
I
clear.
think it looks better, with the house being like that. And then also I'm gonna have fence back there on the line property behind it with the 15 foot from the lines
Mhm.
property, and then on the sides already has fence on both sides. So from the house, the front of the house to the sides, it'll be fence, like fence, and then it'll be 6 feet tall, and then from the front of the house forward, I'm thinking putting a 4 foot if I'm willing to do that later on the future.
Do we need to go ahead and add that so he didn't have to come back?
I can condition the project so that fencing shall be wood or wood-like materials, 6 feet tall maximum in the rear, and it's 3.5 in the front.
3.5. Yes. Okay.
Was it going to be wood? Is that okay?
Yes. It's all
Okay.
wood. Yes.
That way you don't have to come back to us for permission. It's just done.
Got
And
it.
you don't have to do it either. You can
Yeah.
choose
Got it.
either
Got
way
it.
if you decide not to build a fence.
Anything else?
Nope. That's it.
Okay. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this project? Is there anybody here to speak against this project? Okay, so we'll open it up to any more discussion.
You know, I think I'm good with the 2 driveways because I think what's frowned upon in general is parking in the
In
yard.
front.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
it's the
Yeah.
front.
That's
Mhm.
what we
And
encourage
he's
you,
making
yeah.
an attempt to create parking space that is not on the yard. I bet we're okay with lot coverage. I mean, you can calculate that, I'm sure, because that's what you do. But yeah, I bet we're okay on lot coverage.
I think it's gonna look much better.
Mhm.
I agree.
I move that we accept the staff recommendations
With the changes.
with the changes. Thank you.
A second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to, let me flip back. It's going to be faster for me to exit out. I believe it's time for our general business.
I do have 2 items to, I guess, announce. Or to inform. I have 2 informational items. One is that these were administrative approvals. One was the approval of an outbuilding that was less than 160 square feet at 521 3rd Street. And the other was approval of work on less than 160 square feet of an existing outbuilding at 1510 Mill Street. I do want to bring to the commission's attention that for our next meeting, the commissioners will be voting on the election of officers, as well as for next year's calendar.
Fantastic. Okay. So we have, now we're to the point where we have additional business. It's my understanding we have somebody in the public that wanted to come up to the podium tonight. Yes, sir. If you want to step up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Kitts at 1837 Robinson. I'm here again and to talk about the city church at 1832 Robinson. They've put up an additional sign in the atrium. You'll see the pictures in a second. And I know y'all made a very specific ruling in January of 2022 about this. And the church did comply. They put up the sign that y'all recommended. It looks great. I wasn't here in July, in the middle of August when I came home this past August. You'll see the new sign that's in the atrium window. That's the first time I saw it. So as soon as it comes up, you'll see it.
I feel very anxious.
So that's from our front door porch, right out our front door. And I did speak to Tara at the city, and so I just wanted to get some clarification about this.
So is that indoors? Is that windows
It's where
covering,
they-
and it's inside the church?
It's inside the church.
Okay.
It's where we had a discussion about it last time. They had a symbol inside that
Right.
atrium And during the meeting on January 20, last
Yeah, I'm trying
January
to remember.
2022,
This is a while back.
it
Yeah.
was very specific.
Yeah.
Y'all were very specific about the atrium, and the agreement was, direction from y'all was nothing in the atrium, and that's what the church decided. They said, yes, that would, we understand that there'll be no signs, signage, symbols in the atrium.
Is that lit at night?
It has been. After I spoke to the planning commission, on some nights it's lit, and some nights it's not. Do we have the lit picture? It's coming up.
Yeah.
No, I'm just,
So-
because I remember that was a discussion in our,
Yes.
in that meeting because of the light intensity.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
is it still, does that light still, is it bright enough that it
Oh yeah, you'll
intrudes
see
on
it.
you?
You'll see it in a second.
So
And-
he emailed the city, and the city emailed me asking, and so I drove past it. I said it was enough that I felt like he should come talk to you guys. I drove past it that night. The banner is inside the building, so the city can't. There's no signage policy broken because it's inside. You can't police that. But there's 3, if I remember, spotlights
Yes.
shining on it inside the building. They've complied to what we've asked. The city church logo is not lit up. And I brought the minutes. If y'all want me to refresh, it's up to you.
In the,
But my understanding is the lighting, it says no signage shall be eliminated after 8 p.m.
That's exactly right.
And it's still signage. We can regulate the inside of the building, but
Yeah, so
If I can,
please.
okay. I when I think it's important when this is discussed to understand the way the city defines sign.
Okay.
And so, if I may,
Mhm.
Yeah.
okay, read the definition of sign. A sign, according to the general zoning regs, is any device, structure, fixture, or placard using graphics, symbols, and/or written copy for the primary purpose of identifying, providing directions, or advertising any establishment, person, product, goods, or services. And so when I spoke to Mr. Kitt, that where the planning staff's position is on this is that it's not an advertisement. And as a result, it doesn't fall under our sign code.
so just to clarify, we can't even rule upon the lighting because it's not connected to a sign. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why I wanted him to. That's why I wanted to bring him from the commission, because to me it was inside the building. It wasn't advertising. There's many, many, many churches that have banners. Many.
Right.
And this
My concern is the lighting
Yeah.
primarily is if that's bothers, because that looks bright to me even just in the picture.
And they're not supposed to have that after 8 p.m.
Yeah,
Are they doing
that's
that
what
after 8
that's
p.m.?
what I
Is
was
it
worried
lit
about.
after 8
But the
p.m.?
question,
sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't.
the
Right.
question that I have is a procedural one. I mean, I agree it would be annoying to have something
Mhm.
like that lit across from me. But if it's not considered a sign, can we even regulate the
Yeah,
lighting
that's
of
what I
that because
was-
it's inside?
That's I didn't.
So I don't know that even as my opinion is to agree, if that's something our district commission can, they are complying.
And I'm sure this has already been discussed, but I'm just curious, what did the church have a response
Well,
with their
I did-
conversation?
I haven't spoke to them, and this is why.
Okay.
We haven't had good luck with
Right.
We've
That's-
had
and that's
several
why I
different
didn't know.
owners over there, and one time we woke up and there was
Right.
a 10 by 10 neon sign.
Yeah.
And so we've been down this road several times, and when you were saying the definition of a sign, something about promotion or something in there, I see there's a gray area right there, kind of in a gray area. It's a sign. I mean, a banner is a sign. That's what it is. It's a type of sign. It's almost as bright during the daytime. There's daytime, and when the sun hits it, it's just about as bright. So it's all the time. It's directed. It's on a black. It looks like to me it's on a black banner.
Mhm.
And so you don't see it from the inside. It's directed to outdoors, like a sign would be. even though, I mean, it's a particular situation. But I'll leave that up to you all. But I don't understand the purpose of it. I understand what they're trying to say, but you're right. It is, to be frank, it is quite annoying. I mean, it's 24 hours.
So, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, when I did drive by, and did we find the picture?
That's
At
The
night?
bright picture. Yeah.
Okay. When I drove past at night, mine was at 7:39 and it was on, so I didn't drive past that.
So,
Like I said, some nights it's on, some nights it's
Yeah.
not.
our Troy Rice, the interim director, did talk to the church, and there is a timer where they've set it so that it turns off at 9, is my understanding.
9 instead of 8? Is
Yes.
that because of daylight savings somewhere in there?
Yeah, I think it wasn't dark. I would assume.
Is there a way that the city can send a nice reminder about the 8 o'clock rule?
Yes.
I think that's the only thing we can do.
We can send a reminder about
It
that.
does look, I guess I do have questions. So in this picture in particular, on the left-hand side, it looks like there's some shadows indicating so that looks like walls though of the atrium. So where is that shadow coming from?
It juts out in real life. There's a brick wall that juts.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I was confused.
Yeah, and my picture looks just like that. Like it looks
So it's so
darker.
bright though from the
Yeah.
inside that that it's casting a shadow.
Yeah.
The light pointing out, it's so bright it's casting a shadow to the side.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Yeah.
Are those lights outside or inside?
Inside.
They're inside.
But they're so bright, Marie.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I think
I've
that-
driven by as well.
Yeah. I think that it's bleeding into outside and casting a shadow.
My name is Lorraine Dussel Kitts, and I'm the wife of Tom Kitts. And if you did put that rule of 8 p.m., the church is only there on Wednesdays and Sundays, and we're there every day. And would it be possible also to limit it to Wednesday and Sunday, because that's when they're there? I mean, the parking lot is empty, and then when we go out on our porch, we have to look at it. So I was wondering if we could also not only do a timing, but also a day,
Like
display day. We're willing to compromise, but the idea is that it's coming into our house every day. And sometimes it shuts off at 8. Sometimes it shuts off at 10. And sometimes it's on all night long. So, and I remember in the previous meeting, they said, well, we're having problems with the timing. We don't, it's, there's some electrical issues. And so,
This goes back to, if you remember our previous meeting, there was a long discussion about scale, the character of the neighborhood and the historic district, and what we live there because we want to be there, and we have a certain responsibility in the neighborhood because we've come across situations that, whether it's church or whatever, of other places putting up 10 garages and all that. But we feel like it's our responsibility to try to keep the character of the neighborhood. That's what this is about. And the reason I sent the picture of those two people walking by, it's this sign is so out of scale for the neighborhood, for the historic district, that it's out of character, it's out of scale, and it just doesn't belong there.
Well, it seems like there's an ordinance where your hands are tied. So what I would recommend is to contact your city representative and the mayor and go through that way to get the ordinance changed or added, because as I agree with you, we can't do anything because our hands are tied.
I understand.
So the laws and the ordinances have to be changed, and the city council is the only ones who can do
Yeah,
that.
it's out of our hands.
I think if there had
honestly.
been a logo on the sign, that would,
Or even if it was outside,
yeah.
But because it's inside and it's we
Now, if
can't
they
we
change
can't police
some-
anything on the
If they
inside.
change the ordinance and to give us that authority, yes. So but that would have to come from the city council.
Mhm.
And
And I
could
would
be-
recommend you contact them.
It could be that you could add some language about banners into the existing ordinance that address
And again,
some
the
of
city
that.
council would have to.
I think
Because I could see this being an issue.
Well,
Well-
you know,
Many different
okay, it's
places.
celebrating 10 years together. I don't know when those 10 years started and when it ended, but chances are there will be another banner after this one. if
That
they've
was the
gone to
issue.
expense of
Yeah.
putting up
And
lighting and so forth.
That's what Tara pointed out to
So
me
there
was,
does, I completely agree. There needs to be some sort of a limit and maybe a friendly letter from planning or whomever would be appropriate as well if that's
Well,
possible.
again, I sympathize with you, but we don't have the power to do anything. But the city council does.
And I do think, I think a letter at this point would be appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because there's some gray area. I mean, there is definitely, no, actually it's a very bright area, but there's some, you know, it's a little murky about the 8 p.m. stuff. Is it inside? Is it outside? You know, from the original rulings of January 22.
whether it's inside or outside, the only reason for that is it's projecting out. That's it's only its purpose.
Yeah, that's why I tried to point out that it was so bright it was
Mm-hmm.
having an impact on the outdoor
So
space.
you're saying it doesn't come, just to be clear, it's not a sign?
I think that there are
Yeah.
two important factors. So number one, based on the current definition under planning guidelines, it would not be considered a sign because it's not promoting. I'm so sorry about this feedback. I don't know if it's bothering you all.
Yeah, I can hear
But based on what was shared in the guidelines, I think that's actually easier for me to just talk loudly. The definition of the sign, it does not meet that definition because it's not promoting a business. It's not a placard. It's not sharing the name of the building. Doesn't have a logo. Isn't showing any services. It's purely a banner,
Wow.
which is not regulated currently. And then I would say number two, something that could potentially be an issue is because it's inside the building. Under historic district guidelines,
Yeah, we
we
have
have
no-
no,
We have no
regulation
jurisdiction.
of
Inside. Wow.
inside of homes. So even our previous agenda items, we have no say on what they do on the inside of the house. It could be one big room, 3,200 square feet. We can't do anything about it. And so technically, since it is indoors, because there are walls and then a window, that is indoors. But I would argue to say, even though the lighting is also indoors, since it affects the outside space, I think we could send a letter or an email that said, just a reminder, we do have authority over lighting, and the lighting is disruptive and affecting the outdoor space.
And so to be clear also, if there's any symbols or that would fall under,
I think it would depend on, again, looking at that. This is just awful.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say depending on the sign and the symbol. Depending on the symbol, if it's a sign. Yeah,
But again, that's not an H. I mean, we're getting that's not something that HDC polices. That needs to go back to the city. You know, at the end of the day, HDC can't control what's inside of a building. And going back to your request of can we do it on Sundays and Wednesdays only, we voted on just 8 o'clock every day. We can't go back on that.
No, that would be during the meeting, if you go back and listen to the meeting, you all were very specific about nothing in the atrium, and the church agreed. That's very specific.
I think
And
that's
then-
signage, though. So yeah, if it was a sign, that would be different. But it's not a sign currently. Now, if something else was erected in the atrium, depending on what it was, I think we could.
Well, we'll
have
be
a
watching
conversation.
so if it's
I
a
think that-
sign, it has to have logo of the church. So they're being very clever here, I see.
Yeah, I think they found a loophole.
I think they found a loophole.
Yes.
Honestly,
It's
if I can
also
just be
not
honest.
permanent. It's something that they can
Yeah.
take
Well,
down.
a banner's
So-
a sign.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, I feel
It's a
like
certain-
the regulation, the city's trying to regulate permanent, right? So like that's what it's designed.
Well,
I
it's-
think that-
It's for, there's the permanence aspect, that's not all of it. It's an actual advertising using like copy. And this does not say city church. It doesn't have
Yeah.
the logo of city
It doesn't
church.
It's not
Yeah.
recommending an event, a service. It's purely just stating a message.
But it's
that
to a
has nothing
specific 10 years to that church. So I
But
know
it
it's very
doesn't have the
bright.
logo. Like it could
I
say
know.
live, laugh, love, and it would be every bit as annoying and every bit
I
as
know, it could
bright,
be-
and
we
we
use-
couldn't do
That's,
anything
that's why
about
the
it.
city council has to.
Yeah.
We fix
It's still
flags.
inside. At the end of the day, I don't think the city can still address it because it's inside their building.
So I think some sort of a finely crafted letter
Mm-hmm.
reminding them of their agreements from January of 2022. See where that gets you, and if
From
you know,
us?
and
No, from
no,
from
no,
city.
Okay.
from the city, and for sure, I would engage the. I don't know if that's still Ward 2 or not, but your
Four.
city council representatives, let them know what's going on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shelley's too, isn't she?
I don't- This is,
Shelley's
it's
too.
weird the way it's,
covered, yeah.
Yeah.
She's on the edge of that
Yeah,
space.
she
is.
She covers Anderson
She
a little
is.
bit, so.
I have a question about advertising. If it's being shown while they're gone, they are kind of advertising because it's lit up all night long sometimes. Last month it seemed to be turning off at 8, and then all of a sudden again it turns back at 10. So to me that's kind of advertising because they're lighting it up while they're gone, and
Mhm.
I think it's, I mean, I'm a Christian woman, has nothing to do with religious freedom or anything like that. It's just annoying.
it's horrible. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's given you some
Thank
good
y'all.
input.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else here to speak? Anything? Okay. I just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Motion adjourned.
What was up with the feedback? What is?